Ford spent a fortune chasing a dream car in the late 1950s. The project promised futuristic styling, advanced features, and a fresh badge meant to slot between Mercury and Lincoln. Dealers expected crowds, engineers pushed hard, and the marketing machine roared louder than a big block V8. But reality hit when buyers shrugged, sales tanked, and the brand's name turned into a punchline. In this story, we'll break down how Ford's $400 million gamble became America's biggest automotive flop, why the timing and execution failed, and how collectors view these cars today. How the gorgeous Edsel went from bold gamble to market failure. In 1958, the Ford Motor Company launched Edsel, a new car brand from scratch. Pouring an estimated $400 million, the American automaker told its dealers this was the next big thing between Mercury and Lincoln. That kind of money in the 1950s was insane. And to make it back, Ford needed to sell double what the market actually wanted. The rollout was hyped like a Hollywood premiere, with flashy TV ads, big dealer events, and even an NBC variety show called The Edsel Show, hosted by Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra. On paper, the plan made sense. Americans were buying more cars than ever, and Ford wanted a middle-market badge to stop customers from drifting to Buick, Oldsmobile, or Dodge. But the reality was brutal, as buyers didn't line up. Only a few thousand cars moved in the first months, far below the forecasts. The so-called horse collar grille became an instant target for jokes, and the styling confused more people than it impressed. Worse, the lineup itself was a mess. Ford offered multiple trim levels with overlapping names, making it hard to tell where an Edsel fit compared to a Ford Fairlane, a Mercury, or even a Pontiac across town. Dealers that had stocked up waiting for a gold rush were left with unsold inventory collecting dust. By 1960, just 3 model years in, Ford pulled the plug and killed the brand. The embarrassment was total. A hyped launch, big engineering spend, and massive marketing push that turned into a cautionary tale. Compared to the Chevrolet Bel Air, which delivered clear value and styling people understood, an Edsel never had a chance. What was supposed to be Ford's big leap forward ended up as the textbook definition of an automotive flop. Fatal mistakes that turned Edsel into Ford's worst bet. The Edsel brand flopped for several reasons. It was a perfect storm of poor timing, clumsy branding, bad execution, and a brutal economy. Ford spent hundreds of millions on the project, but every decision that followed chipped away at its chance to succeed. But the biggest blows that turned the Edsel into a money pit were the poor quality control, confusing styling, and naming structure of the models. The quality control nightmare. Edsel production was rushed, and the factories weren't ready. Cars rolled off the line missing trim pieces, with body panels misaligned and wiring problems straight from day one. Dealers reported issues like trunks that wouldn't shut, speedometers that failed on delivery, and oil leaks before the cars had even left the lot. In a market where Chevrolet and Plymouth were turning out solid, consistent products, Ford's newcomer felt rushed and unfinished. Word of mouth spread fast, and once customers started avoiding showrooms, it was game over. Confusing styling and naming. Ford sold Edsel with a bold design, but the centerpiece horse collar grille looked odd to many buyers. Beyond looks, the naming strategy was just as messy. The brand offered Rangers, Pacers, Corsairs, and Citations across multiple body styles with price points that overlapped Mercury and Ford's own Fairlane. Customers couldn't figure out if Edsel was supposed to be a step up or just a dressed-up Ford. Compared to a Buick Super or a Chevy Bel Air, which had clear brand positions, Edsel felt lost in the middle. Add in the high cost of development, a 1958 recession that crushed new car sales, and marketing that promised more than Ford could deliver, and Edsel never had a chance. What was meant to be Ford's big leap forward ended up as the textbook definition of an automotive flop. when the market crashed. Edsel versus its 1958 rivals. The Edsel brand hit showrooms in late 1957, just as the American economy slid into a recession. Buyers were cutting back, financing got tighter, and the appetite for flashy new nameplates shrank overnight. That timing alone hurt Ford's chances, but the real knockout came when customers compared the Edsel to cars they already trusted. Take the 1958 Chevrolet Bel Air. Chevy's bread-and-butter model started around $2,400, came with proven straight-six and V8 options, and dealers had no trouble keeping them reliable. Ford tried to price Edsels in the same neighborhood, but the styling and spotty build quality turned off the very families they wanted to capture. Buyers saw more value in a Bel Air that offered recognizable looks and better resale. Even inside Ford's own family, the Edsel had problems. A similarly equipped 1958 Ford Fairlane offered the same 4.8-liter and 5.4-liter V8s, but at a lower cost and with fewer quality issues. Mercury sat just above, with stronger styling cues and a clearer brand identity. The Edsel was supposed to bridge that gap, yet it overlapped so much that customers either went cheaper with a Fairlane or paid a little more for the prestige of a Mercury. Then there were competitors from Chrysler like Dodge and Plymouth. Both had models that undercut the Edsel on price while still giving buyers sharp styling and dependable drivetrains. In a shrinking market, value mattered more than hype, and Ford's newcomer simply didn't deliver. By the end of its first year, Edsel sold only about 64,000 units across the lineup, a fraction of the hundreds of thousands Ford expected. When rivals like Chevrolet were moving more than 1 million cars annually, the Edsel flop status became impossible to hide. What an automotive flop is worth today. Edsel's strange second act. The Edsel may have been a showroom disaster, but collectors have given it an unlikely second life. What once symbolized Detroit's biggest miss now shows up at auctions, pulling serious money. According to Classic.com data, the average Edsel sale sits around $29,000, with standout models like the Citation and Corsair stretching much higher. The high watermark hits $173,250 for a pristine Citation convertible, while the lowest documented sales have dropped under $4,000. Survivors are rare because so few were sold new, and that scarcity now drives interest.